Hello everyone. So the next topic which we will be discussing here is about the structure of the contractile proteins. So let's start with the structure here. That so first we will discuss about is the introduction part. That skeletal muscles, they are composed of muscle fibers and they have very smaller units which is called as the microfibrils. Now, there are three types of proteins that make up each microfibril, and they are contractile, regulatory, and the structural proteins. So, by the term contractile, so there are three, but we will be focusing here on the contractile proteins. So, by the contractile protein, we mean that actin, myosin. So there will be the actin, which is the thin filament, and the myosin, which is the thick filament. So actin filament, it is being represented here. Tropomyosin and troponin is being represented here. So this is the structure of a contractile protein. So then contractile proteins, as I have already told you, that it means the contractile proteins means the actin and the myosin. Where actin, it has a thin filament, and where the myosin, it have a thick filament. Now, each actin filament, it is composed of two helical F filaments, that is the filamentous actin, and each F actin is made up of multiple units of G actin. So these are the two filaments of the actin from which the actin is composed of, that is the F actin and the G actin. So if I talk about the F actin, then there are two filaments of regulatory proteins, that is the tropomyosin and the troponin, which are at the regular intervals. So during the muscle relaxation, what is happening? So during a muscle, when a muscle relaxes, troponin, which was being represented in the previous diagram as well, it covers the binding site for myosin on actin filaments. Now, each myosin, it is composed of multiple units of meromyosin. So, there is a term meromyosin. What is it? It means that when each myosin, they are composed of multiple units, then it is known as the meromyosin. And it has two important parts. First is a globular head, which is known as the heavy meromyosin, and the next one is the short arm and a tail, which is known as the light meromyosin. The head and arm projects at a regular distance and angle from each other from a surface of myosin filament, and that is known as the cross arm. So what is known as the cross arm? So when the head and the arms, they project at a regular distance and angle from each other from the surface of the myosin filament, that is known as the cross arm. So the head bears binding sites for ATP and active sites for the actin. So this was about the structure or the what is contractile proteins. Now, if I talk about the muscle contraction in this as well, then what is happening during muscle contraction? So during the muscle contraction, the thin filaments slide over the thick filaments. So what are thin filaments here? Thin filaments are actin and the thick filaments are the myosin. So a signal is sent by the central nervous system via motor neuron, which initiates the muscle contraction. So the signal is been sent by the central nervous system to initiate the contraction of the muscles. Myosin binds to the exposed active site on actin and uses the energy for the hydrolysis of ATP. So this pulls the actin towards the center. So the Z line attached to these are pull and contraction occurs. So myosin, it is in the relaxed state. So This was all about the contractile proteins and the structure of the contractile proteins and how a muscle contracts and relaxes. So these are some of the differences.